Good morning. I'll be going over a tic-tac-toe program I wrote this past week. Some of the features I'll show in this video is how to structure your code properly, the necessary code to satisfy what we want the program to accomplish, which in this case is playing a game of tic-tac-toe, as well as decisions or possible mistakes I made earlier on where I prioritize writing a program that meets MVP as opposed to long-term scalability. Looking at the current structure of our program, you can see I've broken down the application class that's going to be in charge of running the game, a board class that's going to be in charge of displaying the board, and a method called print board, and another method called clear board when you want to start a new game, as well as a player class that's going to be holding different variables that are going to be important, such as the player name, the player's icon, as well as their win, loss, and ties record. So looking at the main application class, some of the necessary things in order to play a game is you're going to want to be able to first create the board that you're playing on, which we saw underneath the board class. You're going to want to allow each player to properly mark their icon on the board. So that means you're going to need to allow the player to select an icon. Um, Looking down here, I'm checking if which icon player 1 selected, and player 2 will be the opposing icon. I have a method underneath this application class for that purpose. In hindsight, I probably should have placed that underneath the player class. I'll talk a little more about that later with as far as sometimes in this case, I rushed into meeting MVP and I didn't think about long-term scalability until afterwards. Um, so after you've allowed each player to properly mark their icon on the board, you want to be able to see the board as well. So we have a print board class underneath I should say print board method underneath the print board class, as well as deciding on a winner, which again I have underneath this application class. If you scroll down, I have a method here called check winner, which is right down here. So there's about 8 winning conditions. It's gonna go through each one of them and see if either player A or player 2 has satisfied those requirements. So as far as your code structure, it's pretty important for your code to be readable to others, and part of readability is to have your code structured in a way that is uniform and everyone is aware of. That's going to make your code easier to implement new features down the road, which plays in hand with long-term scalability. For example, I would say this checking the winner class, I would place that underneath the board class. In case anyone wanted to make an adjustment specifically to this type of board, they can do so without making adjustments to this application class. Once you're writing code that's involved with a lot of other classes, you want to minimize the impacts or the reach of what your edits make. So if you can isolate your code into smaller segments, in this case classes and methods, that would make it a lot easier to implement new features down the road. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you learned something today about file structure, and I hope to see you next time.